Hi everyone. This week in maths, we're going to be doing all about measurement, and in particular, we're going to focus on length and height. So, length is how long or how short something is, and height is how tall or how small something is. And we're going to explore that throughout this week in our maths learning. In this video, I'm going to talk you through activity one and activity two. So, first of all, for activity number one, you want to explore what shorter and longer means. Now, you might want to pause the video here and see if you can tell your grown up, what do you think shorter means? What do you think longer means? Once you've done that, have a little think. Well, shorter means that there's a small distance between the start and the end of something. It's a short distance. Long or longer means that there's a greater distance between the start and the end of something when we're measuring. So we've got some things that are short and some things that are long. Now you'll find on activity one worksheet, there are some pirate footprints. Now, first of all, I just want you to talk about whether you think pirate footprints are short or long. One do you think is the shortest footprint? Which one do you think is the longest footprint? How do you know? Can you think of a way of checking? So have a little bit of an explore with footprints and talking about shorter and longer with your grown up. Now, the next thing I want you to do, which might sound a bit strange, is I want you to get a piece of paper and I want you to stand on the piece of paper with your foot and draw around the shape of your foot. Once you've done that with a grown up, I want you to cut out the shape of your footprint. And you can see here on the screen that I've done that here with my foot. I've drawn around my foot, I've cut around it. Okay. And I'm going to use this footprint of mine to measure some different things from around my house. I want to know whether things are longer or shorter than my footprint. So I want you to see if you can find three things that are longer and three things that are shorter than your footprint. So I first of all found a remote control from watching the telly. And what I'm going to do to check if the remote control is longer or shorter than my footprint is I'm going to put it right next to my footprint. Now, be careful. We don't want to put it far away from my foot or not very near to it over here. We want to line it up exactly with the bottom of my footprint and the bottom of the remote control here. Can you see? That will give us a good measurement. Now, when you've lined it up here, you can see that the remote control has gone past my footprint. It's gone longer than my footprint. There's some space left here, isn't there? So that means that the remote control is longer than my footprint. So that's going to go in my box here. It says longer than my footprint. And you can write or draw a picture of it on the worksheet if you want to record. So I've got remote control is longer. Now, I then found another item from around my house. I found a Lego block. Now, can you remember whereabouts do I put my Lego block? Check if it's longer or shorter. Tell your grown up now. That's right, I've got to put it right at the end. It's got to line up exactly here so I can do it accurately. Now, this time the Lego piece doesn't get to the end of my footprint, so it's shorter than my footprint. So my Lego piece needs to go in this side. It's shorter than the footprint. I can label it, I can write it, or I could draw a picture of it in the box there. So see if you can find three things that are longer and three things that are shorter for activity one. You can pause the video here and then watch activity two tomorrow. Right, moving on to activity number two. Activity number two, you're going to build on learning about shorter and longer again today. Now, you might want to pause the video and double check. Can you tell your grown up what it means? Shorter and longer. Brilliant. Now, today's activity, you have got some pirate items on your class worksheet. And you'll see we've got a telescope, we've got a treasure chest, we've we've got a pirate hat and we've got a sword. With a grown-up, first of all, you can cut out each item, or you might want to draw some pictures of pirate items yourself and cut them out. I want you to think which ones are longer than others. Could you put them into order for me? Could you put smallest or shortest one at one side and the longest one at another? Have a little play around with them. Once you've done that, we're going to explore doing a little bit more accurate measurements today. And we're going to use something called non-standard units to do this. If you're not sure what this means, well, a standard unit is something that is a way of measuring that people all over the world understand. It means using things like centimetres or grams or litres. Non-standard unit of measure is just using something we wouldn't usually use to measure, something from around the house. It might be measuring using your hands or your footprints like we did yesterday. It just has to be the same object or the same thing you're using. It has to be the same size. So it could be that you use a same size Lego block to do some measuring. It might be used the same size counter to measure with. It might be use a 1 pence coin, but it always has to be a 1 pence coin to measure with. I've chosen to use the Numicon number 1 piece to measure with today, and you can find some of those on the class page for activity 2 on the worksheet if you want to cut them out. I've got to make sure I only use Numicon tile 1 so that they're all exactly the same size. I'm going to measure each of the pirate items. So let me show you what to do. I'm going to choose to measure the sword first of all. So I'll get the sword, and then I'm going to measure using my Numicon 1 piece. Like we did yesterday, we have to start at the very edge. Can you see here? We don't want it to be too far away or too far in. It needs to line up exactly there. So far I've used 1. I'm going to keep putting them along until I've measured how many Numicon 1 pieces measure the length of my sword. So can you see I'm putting them close together next to each other? I don't want to leave any gaps like this. We've got to put them right next to one another. This is measuring the length, how long our sword is. Okay, if I stop there, you can see I'm at the end of my sword here and the end of my sword there. So I don't need any more Numicon pieces. And now all I'm going to do is count them to see how long the sword was. You can count them with me. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So our sword was 8 Numicon 1 pieces long. If you want to, maybe on your sword or on the back of your sword, you could record that and put it on top or underneath of your sword. So you remember that the sword was 8 pieces long. Then going to do the exact same thing, measuring the length from one end to the other of your treasure chest, of your telescope, of your hat, or of some other pictures that you've chosen to draw. Once you've done that, you can then check where you write at the beginning. Was the biggest number the longest item? Was the smallest number the shortest item? Have lots of fun measuring. Maybe you could dress up as a pirate whilst you do it. Have lots of fun. See you soon.